Hi, thanks for joining me today. And if you'll hang with me just for a few moments here, I'm going to tell you one of my favorite jokes like I have before, just to whet your appetite a little bit. I want to tell you about one of my heroes of the Christian faith. And his name was William Booth. And he and his wife lived in the 19th century in a time where the city of London was just rank with poverty. Incredible poverty, alcoholism, all the things that are associated with that kind of an environment, crime, etc. And they literally moved into this area of London and began to meet the needs of the poor and to share the gospel of Christ. And they were so successful in their efforts that they started a movement that literally spread around the world. And we know that movement as the Salvation Army. As Booth was getting older and his health was beginning to fail, there was to be a gathering of all the Salvation Army officers in one location. They were going to gather from around the world, and Booth was to give kind of the keynote speech and cast vision for the future of the Salvation Army. The problem was his health was so poor that he was unable to make the trip. And so he asked one of his leaders in the Salvation Army to go and to literally give his speech. He would write it, this person would give it. And so the time came for this speech to be given, and those who worked in the Salvation Army, served in the Salvation Army, were anticipating, expecting this great vision from their great leader in general. And so the man in charge of giving his speech got up to the platform, opened up a piece of paper, and gave the speech. And this is what he said: "Others." And he turned around and sat down. That was the entirety of the speech, one word: others. And I can't think of any word that would encapsulate what we drive towards being here at Lima Community Church than a church for others. And one of the ways that we do this is through the way that we do missions out of Lima Community Church. We don't have enough time for me to share with you all the ways that we are doing missions around the world, nationally, and even in this region. But I can tell you that every day thousands of children are being fed. There are missionaries in literally every area of the world that receive support. There are countless thousands hearing the gospel of Jesus Christ, with thousands responding and saying yes to Jesus. We are involved in orphanage, as you know, one in China. We're partnering in one in Ukraine. And I could go on and on with you, but I know that you get the point. And we do these things because a long time ago, Lima Community Church committed themselves, we committed ourselves to be a church for others, to make missionaries of the missing, but not only to do that locally, but to be missionaries around the world. We have a team just coming back from Peru and involved in missions. We've planted 9 churches, or in the process of planting 9 churches there in Peru. We've planted churches in Argentina. We've done other churches we planted in Ukraine. We not only send teams out to do missions, we support all sorts of missions endeavors with our dollars. We committed a long time ago, this church did, to have a weekend every year that we call Faith Promise. 1 week in a year where we give our full attention to how God is using us in the world, what He's doing in the world, how He wants us to join Him in what He's doing in the world. That we take 1 weekend a year where we raise all the commitments, all the funds for our missions for the entire year. And that weekend is almost upon us, just a few weeks away. We're going to have a speaker by the name of Kamil Melki, who is from Lebanon. He's going to talk about the efforts that he has made along with developing leaders to impact the Middle East, which is a very difficult place to be a Christian. And so we're looking forward to having him in. And we're asking you, as always, to pray for him as he comes, to pray for yourself and for others as I pray for all of you and myself, to really do what God wants us to do in terms of making a commitment of giving over the course of this next year, to making that impact, that influence, and more from the things I just shared with you about. And so I'm asking you to do that, to please pray. Please be prepared to make that commitment. This last year, we committed over $200,000. We're on track to receive roughly $240,000 to $250,000. 100% of it we've given away to missions. And our goal for this next year, 2010, 2011, is $300,000. And so please be prepared for that weekend, February 20th and 21st. And we look forward to see what God's going to do through us once again. Thanks. Now, I promised you that joke. Here it is. A guy who was a human cannonball decided to retire. And when he told his boss that he was going to retire, his boss said to him, "You can't do that. We'll never find another man of your caliber." Life is good, isn't it? Be blessed.